Back again for another video. So on this topic, I want to talk about the only two things in this world that you are 100% in control of. There are many things that we believe that we are in control of. We think we are in control of our cars. We think we are in control of our lives. Other people's lives, our dogs, children. We think that we can control many things, but that isn't actually true. Here's another fundamental thing. You are only in control of two things, and these two things are what you say and what you do. This somewhat goes back to my power and responsibility video. I'll expand more in another video on this, but I just want to keep this one very basic. The other video that I'm more than likely going to make on this is going to be proximal authority, which will tie into this video. So there's going to be a part 2 to this, with a sub name. But anyway, this is very important to understand, because this also plays into my power and responsibility video and my accounting for accountability video. Because once you figure out what how power and responsibility works, you can't have power and just completely scapegoat the responsibility. I was talking to a friend earlier, and I told her, this is exactly what dysfunction represents. It's wanting to take all the power and control for things and none of the responsibility. Because without the responsibility, you can't take accountability. And without accountability, you cannot grow. Because you're not able to assess the situation properly, so that you can see where you went wrong, where you took fault in it, and where you had power and authority over it. And it all builds up on top of each other. But you can't have none of these things without the other, or it'll become a dysfunctional situation. This goes the same for relationships. If it's not clearly spelled out what your relationship responsibility is and power is in that relationship, you could run into assessing the accountability incorrectly, thus disabling your ability to grow together in that relationship. And then it will start to become toxic and dysfunctional, because there has to be a equal level or reciprocal level of exchange when it comes to power and responsibility. So anyway, how that works out is, without the accountability, you cannot make change. You cannot see where you went wrong in that situation if you're blaming other people for that. You cannot move forward if you aren't able to accept the problem and recognize the problem for what it is and accept your responsibility in whatever the problem is. So therefore, you cannot grow, because you're not actively competing with your future self or your past self, because you need accountability and consciousness of the situation, to properly assess the situation so that you can move forward and take the accountability, or take the accountability and then move forward. But anyways, the topic kind of plays into that philosophy. You can't control things in this world, but you can have some influence on things. You can manipulate things. That's where the proximal authority comes from, and that's how it's used. But you can only control 2 things about yourself. All the rest of the things you cannot control. For instance, if you have allergies to something, it makes up who you are as a person, because you're a person who has allergies. That's who you are. You're that person who has this allergy. If you don't like certain foods, it plays into who you are as a person. If you don't, like the water temperature in the shower, when your partner might like a slightly colder or hotter temperature, you're differentiated in your individuality from another person in this way. But these are things that you cannot control. You can't control your reaction. You can't control whether you end up with cancer. You can prevent these things, but you can't control them, because nothing is certain. There is no absolutes in this world. But there are gray areas between absolute and what you cannot, or what you can have influence over. And those gray areas are things such as what I'm talking about. The 2 things are what you say and what you do. These are the only 2 things that you have control and authority over. A lot of people don't understand how this works, because I question people and I say, what are the 2 things that what are things that you have control over? And they go down this whole gamut list of things that they believe they have control over, and they don't understand that there is a difference between proximal control and authority versus absolute control and authority, unless you have Tourette's syndrome or something like that. But once again, that's out of your control, so therefore you can't be responsible for that, and you can't take any accountability for that. I mean, sure, you can give people superficial pleasures based on your condition, but this is something out of your power of control. You may be able to do things to mitigate that, but once again, it's out of your control. Therefore, you can't hold full accountability for something that you are not fully in control of. You don't have the power. Therefore, you don't have the responsibility nor the accountability, so you can't make changes in these things. But anyways, what I want to express with this is for people to understand what I mean by this. Sure, it seems very clear cut, but my videos very much tie into each other. A lot of people don't understand where they should take accountability for things. A lot of people, feel bad about some of the situations and things that may have happened to them in their lifetime. They feel responsible for other people's deaths. They feel responsible for, the mannerisms of their children. These are all external things to yourself. So you shouldn't feel guilty about any of these things. You shouldn't feel like you hold some responsibility and you had the authority and the power to change these things. You don't. All you can do is focus on what you say and what you do. That will branch out your levels of accountability, and you can assess things properly. That way you can avoid undue stress. You can avoid unnecessary arguments. You can avoid having to shoulder a burden that isn't yours. It's very important that people understand these things. It could help you get through your life a whole lot easier if you come to terms with the reality. And the reality of the situation is you're only in charge of what you say and what you do. And it's very hard to escape accountability for these things. It's very hard to escape responsibility for these things. Though other people may not hold you accountable, the reality is unrelenting. It is unrelenting. You will eventually pay the piper. If you always scapegoat your accountability and your responsibility, but you forever want to take the power, you're going to pay for it on the back end. That is an almost certainty to me. You're going to pay for it in one shape or form. Energy is Energy is one of those things that, you know, like we all understand, it can neither be destroyed or created. It's just displaced from one thing to another. It's exchanged. It goes through different phases, you know, but it is still the same energy. These are the laws of our universe. Once again, I've said in previous videos, you cannot, anything within this universe cannot escape the laws of this universe. So keep in mind that you will pay for the responsibility and the accountability that you did not take part in. And that comes from what you say and what you do. So be mindful of this, people. Very important. But anyways, rambled on long enough. Hopefully I wasn't all over the place. I often get into a different space of mind when I make these videos. I sometimes, honestly, if I'm not talking about the subject, I can't remember half of the things I've said. It's almost like I invoke a different spirit to make these videos. It's kind of strange. I don't know if anybody else experienced that when they go through an art form and express themselves through that art form. I wonder if anybody can relate to that. But anyways, that's a side question. Focus on the topic. Think about it. If you got anything to say, leave a comment. Don't forget to like the video, of course. If you feel like sharing this, most definitely. It probably can help somebody. Usually we're not wrong when we have a gut feeling about something. So if you got a gut feeling that you might need to share this video with somebody and they need to hear this, please do it. Oh yeah, I appreciate all my new subscribers. It's a great thing. That means my message is spreading. That means people are, if they're not actively showing their agreement, the subscription is an action. And like I said in my previous videos, no answer is still an answer. So I greatly appreciate that. But anyways, I need to get in here and take care of a few things. I just want to drop this video off real quick. But until next time, this has been the Wolf from Beta Clothes. Peace be with you. May you have a good day. And I'm out.